So although I was born to an atheist family, I quickly picked up on Islam, even though I didn't know anything about it. So there were certain issues in Islam which made me question it, like the fact that Muhammad had, like sex slaves,
What?
like
No way. He had sex
yeah.
slaves?
So all of this like really bothered me. So I left Islam. I learned about Christianity as like this like super peaceful religion, forgiving, merciful religion.
And you read the Old Testament and you saw, damn, all that violence and concubinage. Damn, Gina.
Yeah, exactly. So I was talking to a Muslim, and he's like, "Well, why did Jesus then allow all of these things, and where in the New Testament does he abolish it?" So
So how would that justify what Muhammad did? So what is the Muslim doing to two co?
doesn't, absolutely doesn't. That's what I try to
Okay,
bring up.
so
So
even
I don't want to become an atheist. That's my thing.
oh, that's what it is. But even if you were to become an atheist, you would be an atheist inconsistently. Because I've done thousands of sessions on this. I'll walk you through. In fact, the other day I just did one on it. That Muslim girl, I talked about these passages. But your choice in becoming an atheist because you can't justify these actions in the Old Testament, let's just say hypothetically,
Yeah.
then you're being inconsistent in the sense that you're assuming that you can objectively determine something being immoral or moral. How do you do that as an atheist?
I feel like I have like natural instincts. Like I know slavery is wrong.
But where would you get natural instincts from if you are
God.
simply a byproduct? Oh, now see? But then if you're appealing to God, that means you're saying that God is the standard for objective moral values, right?
Right. Yes. Yes.
So then, if I were to say, for argument's sake, wipe out everything that breathes, but if God is the standard of moral absolutes, how then can someone say that is morally evil, objectively evil, if it's God telling you that this is the just thing to do for these persistent sinners who don't fear him? But let me give you another example. If Hitler was an infant and you didn't know that he would turn out to be a moral monster and God ordered him to be slaughtered, you think that was evil, right?
Yeah, because I wouldn't know the context.
But what if God then show you, see, here's why you should never question me. Because now I'm going to show you what would happen if I let him live. 13 million people would be killed by his hands. So why did you sit in judgment of me?
Because he knows more than we do.
Yeah, but you sat in judgment of him already. So he's saying, why do you sit in judgment of me? Let me explain now. I'm going to explain. I'm going to take now God ordering to wipe out everything that breathes. And by the way, if you read the text, that did not literally happen. That's a misreading of the text. And I'm going to walk you through it. You ready?
Thank you so much.
First of all, to just prove to you, watch here. Exodus 13, 17, 18. Let me establish a principle. Now, when Pharaoh had let the people go, God did not lead them through the way of the land of the Philistines, although it was nearby. He had them take the long route. Why? For God said, lest the people change their minds when they see war and they return to Egypt. Therefore, God led the people around through the way of the wilderness to the Red Sea, and the children of Israel went up, prepared for war out of the land of Egypt. So notice, this nation was young, inexperienced, and did not know warfare, right?
Okay.
So here what you're seeing is God is slowly working through his people because they're young, inexperienced. They don't know how to govern themselves. They don't know warfare. So he's not having them engage in all-out battle, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, that's one. Now watch. Exodus 23, 29, 30. Right here, black and white, about the Canaanites, Amorites. I will not drive them out before you in 1 year, lest the land become desolate and the beasts of the field multiply against you. Little by little, I'll drive them out before you until you become fruitful and inherit the land. So here God tells you it's not going to be a complete annihilation.
Right.
So when we read, wipe out everything that breathes, yeah, if I take that statement in isolation out of the context of the Bible, yeah, I can make it sound pretty bad. But if I read it as a whole, you'll see that never literally happened. I'll get there, but you see it, right? Little by little, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So is it complete annihilation all at once when they enter?
No, it's not.
Okay, good. I'm glad you saw that. Now I want to ask you a question. If they were to wipe them out completely, why is it after Joshua died, they entered the land, there are still Canaanites and Perizzites in the land?
Doesn't make sense.
You see what happens when I take the Bible out of context?
Yeah. Okay.
So this is Judges 1, and you read verses 4 all the way to 19. It's too long. I'm not going to read all of it, just here, relevant part.
Okay,
Then
perfect.
Judah went up, and the Lord gave the Canaanites and the Perizzites into their hands. They struck down 10,000 men in Bezek. This is military warfare. They're striking down the soldiers, the armies of the Canaanites, Perizzites. But I thought when Joshua entered, he'd wipe out all of them, every single one of them, to the last man. No, that didn't happen. It's right here.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much for this. Okay.
We got more. Now watch here. Judges 1:17-19. Okay. But Judah went with his brother Simeon, struck down the Canaanites living in Zaphath, and utterly destroyed it. So now they called the city Hormah. Then Judah captured Gaza, Ashkelon, Ekron, and the territory belonging to each of these cities. The Lord was with Judah, and they, meaning the Judahites, took the hill country, but could not drive out the inhabitants of the coastal plain, for they had iron chariots. What were people doing living in the coastal plain if Joshua had wiped them all out to the last man?
Well, he didn't then. That's the only explanation.
Thank you, sir. If I read the Bible in context, man, it doesn't say what these guys wanted to say. Okay. And if you still don't believe me, they're already in the land. They've settled in the land. Supposedly at this time, there should be no Canaanites. Oh, but hold on. Judges 2:1-5. The angel Lord went up from Gilgal to Bochim and said, I brought you up from Egypt and brought you into the land that I promised your fathers. I said, I'll never break my covenant with you, but you must not make a pact with the inhabitants of the land, and you must tear down their altars. Yet you have not obeyed me. What is this you have done? So now I say, I will not drive them out before you. There'll be thorns in your sides, and their gods will be snare to you. What in the world are the Canaanites doing still alive at this time?
Well, they're living. They're not dead.
Because what did he say? There'll be a snare to you, a thorn in your side, means they're still alive. And then if he was going to wipe all of them out, why did he warn them, don't make a covenant with them?
Okay.
Now, but I'm going to go a little deeper with you. Watch this. This is going to be beautiful. The last couple ones. Judges 2:19-23. When the judge died, the people turned back, acted more wickedly than their fathers, pursuing other gods to serve and worship them. They would not give up their practices and obstinate ways. Talking about the Israelites. The anger of the Lord burned against Israel, and he said, because this nation has violated my covenant that I commanded their fathers and has not heeded my voice. Guys, pay attention. 21. I will no longer drive out from before them any of the nations that Joshua left when he died. Oh, so Joshua did not wipe out all of them?
All right. Okay. Wait, was Joshua just doing that to that specific group, or was Joshua doing that?
That's the thing. The language of the Bible, when it says wipe out everything that breathes, is not literal.
Okay.
What we would call this is, for lack of a better term, war propaganda. It's just like, Jake Paul, what did he say about Mike Tyson? Oh, did he say, destroy him? And it was more like a patty cake event, right? Yeah.
Right.
Okay, now watch here, though. So that through them, I may test Israel. Wait, so God from the beginning had planned that he's not going to wipe out all the Canaanites, all these nations, because he was going to allow them to continue to exist in order to be used to test and train and empower and discipline Israel, so that through them I may test Israel and see whether or not they will keep the ways of the Lord, to walk in them as their fathers did. So the Lord left those nations. Oh, I thought he's going to drive them out completely and destroy them by the hands of Joshua. Not hurrying to drive them out. And he did not deliver them into the hand of Joshua. Right there, he did not allow Joshua to wipe them out completely. Watch here. Judges 3:1-6. Now, these are the nations that were supposed to be wiped out. And he's going to completely drive them out, destroy them, right?
Right.
Now, explain to me Judges 3:1-6 right here. This is after Joshua. Explain to me, why are they still alive? The children of Israel lived among the Canaanites, the Hittites, Amorites, Perizzites, Hivites, and Jebusites. But these are the same people that God said he's going to wipe them out completely. Amorites, Hittites, Perizzites, Canaanites, Hivites, Jebusites, completely. And they're still alive years after Joshua died. So
Okay.
I'm asking you, what happened? I thought they were wiped out completely. How come they're still alive?
Right. That's clear.
And then I want to add some more elements. Judges 14:1-4. If the Canaanites were to be completely wiped out, how the hell then did Samson marry a Philistine woman, a woman from the Philistines? Here, Judges 14:1-4. Samson went down, and this is years later after Joshua died, to Timnah and saw one from the daughters of the Philistines. He came back up and told his father and mother, I've seen a woman in Timnah from the daughters of the Philistines. Now get her for me as a wife. Why were the Philistines still alive?
Because God didn't order them to be fully wiped out.
We got the point, right?
Perfect.
And then watch here, though. His father and mother said to him, are there no women among your relatives or all of our people that you're intending to take a wife from among the uncircumcised Philistines? Yet Samson, his father, get her for me, for she pleases me well. His father and mother did not know that this was from the Lord, for he was seeking opportunity to act against the Philistines. At that time, the Philistines were ruling over Israel. So here we're told they're still Philistines. They haven't been wiped out. And there were still Canaanites long after the Jews returned from Babylonian captivity. Now, number 2, let me show you the patience and justice of God, wanting them to be expelled. I'm going to show you why God ordered them to be expelled from the land. Okay, so let's look at the list. It's a long list.
Pretty sure they were practicing like human sacrifice or whatever.
Oh, all of this right here. He says it here. Leviticus 18. The Lord spoke to Moses, saying, speak to the children of Israel and say to them, I am the Lord your God. After the practiced land of Egypt, from where you lived, you shall not follow. You're not going to learn to do what the Egyptians did. And after the practice of the land of Canaan, and you're not going to learn the practices of the Canaanites, to where I'll bring you, you shall not follow, nor shall you walk in their ordinances. You shall follow my decrees and keep my ordinances to walk in them. I'm the Lord your God. You shall therefore keep my statutes, my judgments, which if a man does them, then he shall live by them. I am the Lord. Now, he then shows them the things they do that's causing God's judgment to fall on them. And he's saying, you do it, I'll do the same to you. Look how fair and impartial he is. I'll go through the list, but here's a warning. Do not defile yourselves in any of these ways, for in these practices, the nations I'm casting out before you have defiled themselves. Don't do what they do, because they're doing this. This is why I'm judging them. And the land has become defiled. Therefore, I have punished its iniquity, and the land has vomited out her inhabitants. Even the land is so disgusted with these practices. But you shall therefore keep my statutes and my decrees. You shall not commit any of these abominations, either the native citizen or any foreigner who sojourns among you. Meaning, if there's a stranger who's not ethnically an Israelite, but wants to live with you because he wants to worship me, he has to follow the same laws, and you must treat him equal. For the people of the land who were before you committed all these abominations, and the land became defiled, lest the land vomit you out also when you defile it, as it vomit out the nations that were before you. Now look at this warning. Whoever shall commit any of these abominations, including you Israelites, those persons who commit them shall be cut off from among their people. They cannot live in the land. Therefore, you shall keep my ordinances, that you do not commit any one of these abominable customs which were committed before you, so that you do not defile yourselves by them. I am the Lord your God. So I'm warning you, I'm the Lord your God. So he's going to do to them what he does to the nation. Now look at some of the practices. You shall not lie with an animal to defile yourself, nor shall any woman lie with an animal. It is a perversion. This is what they were doing. Now you understand why he even had the animals wiped out?
Not quite, but
think about it.
Yeah.
Okay. So here's a cow, and that boy right there plowed into the cow, was humping the cow. Now, do you want to eat the meat?
No, of course not.
See the wisdom of God? What did I say? If you trust God, let God be God. He'll explain things to you.
Right.
You shall not lie with a man as one does with a woman. It is an abomination. Even medically, it's shown that homosexual lifestyle does irreparable physiological damage to the man. Men end up wearing diapers because they can't control their bowel movements anymore.
Yeah.
Now, here's another one. You shall not let any of your children to be offered through the fire to Molech, and so profane the name of your God. I am the Lord. So they would take a child. They would have a statue of Molech, and I'll show you a statue with arms protruding. They would then heat up the arms and scorch the child by placing it on the arms of Molech as a sacrifice to this demon. Okay. Moreover, you shall not have relation with your neighbor's wife to defile yourself with her, committing adultery. Also, you shall not approach a woman to have relations as long as she's in her menstrual uncleanness. And there's a wisdom behind this too, but we can talk about that later. You shall not have a woman as a rival wife who is the sister of your other wife. So that means they're doing this. They were marrying sisters. For this is to expose their nakedness while her sister, your other wife, is still alive. You shall not have relations with a woman and her daughter. You understand? These were things they were doing, right?
Yeah.
Nor shall you have your son's daughter or your daughter's daughter, for this exposes the woman's nakedness. They are all near relatives. It is depravity. Guys, this is what they were doing. And you're telling me God wasn't just? Even if God wiped them all out, he wasn't just? Imagine sin as a cancer. I mean, because the Bible describes sin as a disease. And the cancer is spreading all over the body. Now you have to now do something drastic, and you have to amputate a part of your body like gangrene to stop it from spreading and killing the whole body, right?
Right.
And this is what God is doing. He's doing amputation. He's cutting off this spiritual cancer that's spreading and destroying civilizations. This is all that the Canaanites were doing.
Right.
And God says, I'm telling you, this is why I'm driving them out. I'll do the same to you if you do this. Now, but I want you now to see the patience of God, and God's still willing to forgive them if they repent. See, this is the full story, which they don't give you. I'm now going to show you examples of Canaanites. When they feared God and turned to God, God forgave them and then engrafted them into the commonwealth of Israel, their families. And God forced Joshua to enter a covenant with the Gibeonites who were living in the land, and told Joshua, honor your covenant, do not wipe them out. But let me show you the patience of God. Ready? Now watch the patience and justice of God. Watch here. As the sun was going down, a deep sleep fell on Abraham, and terror and a great darkness fell on him. Then he said to Abraham, know for certain that your descendants will live as strangers in a land that is not theirs, and they will be enslaved and mistreated for 400 years. But I will judge the nation that they serve, and afterward they will come out with great possessions. As for you, you will go to your fathers in peace, and you'll be buried at a good old age. In the fourth generation, your descendants will return here. Now, why? Why is he waiting 400 years? For the iniquity of the Amorites is not yet complete. Do you see that part right there?
Yeah.
Let me break that down. I need you guys to listen to this too, you guys, because this is for you as well. God has an amount of sin that he will tolerate, and he'll wait to see if you turn, or will you continue sinning generation after generation until you hit the debt ceiling. And when you do, now you've reached the point of no return and it's over. So God is saying their debt ceiling will take 400 years. So I'm going to wait patiently 400 years. And if they don't repent and they hit the debt ceiling, I have no choice but to remove the gangrene and the cancer. That means God tolerated generation after generation after generation of Canaanites murdering children, sleeping with animals, sleeping with their children, sleeping with their sisters, sleeping with their aunts, and he put up with it for 400 years. And you're telling me God is not patient?
Thank you so much for this.
Do you see the patience of God?
Yeah.
Okay. What is God showing you? Two things. I don't delight in destroying the wicked. I want them to repent. And secondly, do you now blame me even if I wipe out infants? Because each generation of infants continued in the sin of the generation before them. So you see an infant, I see a moral monster in the making. The Hitler analogy, right?
Okay, now I understand.
You get it?
Yeah.
But now let me show you the mercy of God. If he does that, you can't do that. You have no right to take an infant life. God has to, because he is the author of life, and he determines if you live or die. Here's another bonus. According to the Bible, if God causes infants to die, because they die in a state of innocence, not having committed any abomination,
Heaven, right?
it's a win-win situation. Why? Because they die without having committed sin, and therefore, because of the grace of God, they will now live forever in his presence. Watch here. He goes, moreover, Deuteronomy 139, your little ones, who you said would be a prey, and your children, because they were complaining, you brought us in the desert, we and our children are going to die of hunger and thirst, and what kind of God is? He goes, oh, really? because you complain, none of you will enter except Joshua and Caleb. Your children, whom you said will die, they will enter. Why? Because they didn't know any better. More of your little ones who you said would be a prey, and your children, who in that day had no knowledge between good and evil, they shall go in, and to them will I give it, and they shall possess it. Why did he have mercy on them? Because they didn't know any better. They didn't know the difference between good and evil.
Perfect. Okay.
A few more. Isaiah 7, 15 to 16. Curds and honey, talking about the child, Messiah Emmanuel, who becomes human. Curds and honey he shall eat at that time, that he knows enough. See, it takes time for you to know enough to refuse the evil and choose the good. For before the child shall know to refuse the evil and choose the good. So here you're told, from God's perspective, there's a time in which children do not know enough to differentiate between good and evil. And because they don't know, they're not held morally responsible.
They're innocent.
Yeah. And the land that you judge shall be forsaken of both their kings. Here's another one. Jonah 4:11. Look what he says to Jonah when God didn't destroy Nineveh. An entire nation he didn't destroy. Why? They all repented, which is going to lead to my next point. If a nation repents, he doesn't destroy them because he doesn't want them to die. So when they repented and Jonah got angry, he goes, why did you kill them? I'm upset. He goes, wait, hold on. Should I not therefore be concerned about Nineveh, that great city in which there are more than 120,000 people who do not know their right hand from their left, and also many animals? You wanted me to wipe out more than 120,000
right
younglings who didn't know any better and not have mercy on them and not spare even the animals? How wicked is your heart? Okay, but now finally, what did Jesus say? Who inherits the kingdom, and what must you be like if you want to be in the kingdom? Matthew 18, 1-5. At that time, the disciples came to Jesus saying, who's the greatest in the kingdom of heaven? Jesus called a little child to him and set him in their midst and said, truly I say to you, unless you are converted and become like children. He didn't say Jewish children. He didn't say Christian children. Children in general, you will not enter the kingdom of heaven. Therefore, whoever humbles himself like this little child is greatest in the kingdom of heaven. Whoever receives one such little child in my name receives me. So now I'm going to ask you a question. All those Canaanite children, if they die young, where will they be?
They're going to be in heaven because they're innocent and they can't differentiate between, they haven't matured enough to be able to make those choices for themselves.
So where's the evil in what God ordered?
He saved generations from being doomed to hell.
And notice when God waited 400 years, did any of the Canaanites stop doing those abominations?
No, they didn't stop.
So now notice the dilemma that God is in. Wait, God, why are you allowing them to murder children? Because if I kill them, they're going to say, what kind of God is this that wipes them out? So what do you want me to do? Now watch the heart of God. If the Canaanites repented, would God have forgiven them? Yes. You know how I know? Rahab, the prostitute, was a Canaanite. In Joshua 2, we're going to read 8-11. Before the spies went to sleep, Rahab went up to them on a roof. She said to them, I know that the Lord has given you, because they heard what God did to the Egyptians, and they heard about the plagues, and they saw how God saved them in the wilderness. So they knew, man, the God of Israel, he's the real deal. We don't mess with him. Watch. Now I know that the Lord has given you the land, for dread from you has fallen upon us. Notice they're testifying. We're now terrified of you because we see God is with you and he's real. Now, let me ask you a question. If they're testifying God is real and the Israelite God is real, and they know God is upset with them and their ways, and yet they choose to fight God, not repent, would God be unjust then to punish them?
No.
Well, here, look what she just said. I know that the Lord has given you the land, for dread from you has fallen upon us, and all the inhabitants of the land melt in terror before you. So she's just testifying, we know your God is real, and he's mighty, and no one dared oppose him, and we're afraid. Okay, then why don't you repent? But instead, they chose to defy God and fight his people. So they deserve what they got, right?
Yeah.
Interesting. Now watch here. For we heard how the Lord dried up the waters of the Red Sea. We heard the miracles he did before you when you came out of Egypt, And what you did to Sihon and Og, the two kings of the Amorites, were on the other side of the Jordan, whom you completely restored. Our hearts melted when we heard of these things, and no man had any breath in him because of you. For the Lord your God is God in heaven above and earth below. Now watch what she tells them. So now, since I've acted faithfully towards you, see, I'm showing you, I believe your God is real. That's why I'm showing kindness to you, because you're his people. Please swear to me by the Lord that you will also act faithfully toward my father's house. Please give me a firm pledge that you will spare my father, my mother, my brothers, my sisters, and all whom they own, and that you will deliver our lives from death. Now watch. The men said to her, our lives for yours. If you do not report us, then when the Lord gives us a land, we will act faithfully and kindly with you. A prostitute. But wait, I thought God said wipe out everything that breathes. So why did God spare a whore and her entire household?
Because you would repent. If people repented, then they were good.
You got it. So what if all the Canaanites repented? What would God have done?
Well, he wouldn't have punished them.
You got it. See, that's when I read the Bible in context, not take verses out of context, right?
Yeah.
Now, let me show you how great this woman is. You want to see how great she is? Remember, she's a prostitute, a Canaanite, right?
Uh-huh.
A Canaanite. She becomes now the ancestor of Jesus Christ. Watch her.
Wow, actually?
Legally, yeah. Legally, through the legal line of Joseph, she's Jesus' ancestor right here. And she's even set as an example of a woman of faith. Hebrews 11:31. Hebrews 11:31. By faith, the prostitute Rahab, when she received the spies with peace, did not perish with those who did not believe. See? She did not perish. Again, not only Hebrews, but James 2:25 mentions her. Likewise, was not Rahab the prostitute justified by works when she received the messengers and sent them out another way? She's so great, she's listed in Jesus's legal line. Here it is. Matthew 1, verses 1 to 16. Where is she mentioned? Okay, watch here. And I'll skip. Salman was the father Boaz by Rahab. Rahab. The prostitute, and she's in the legal line of Jesus. Jacob was the father of Joseph, the husband of Mary, of whom was born Jesus, who is called Christ. So there you go. That explains to you, if you read the Bible context, they're misquoting the Bible. By the way, it seems like you're a little shocked that you hear that the Bible has all the answers the way it does.